In case you just joined us, this is The Polity reaching you live from Kaftan Television Studios here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Today, in light of the 2023 presidency and the preparations across the country, with many actors showing up, of course, on the political scene to throw their hats in the ring to take the #1 seat in Nigeria, we will discuss in focus the youth and their place, the youth dilemma, and of course money politics, how it has shaped the contest for the 2023 general elections. And of course, to have that discussion, I've been joined by a presidential aspirant, and of course it will quite interest you to know that my guest today was also present at the ruling All Progressive Congress in 2019 elections to contest for the same position, and he's back again in 2023 to contest for the same, but of course under a different umbrella. Adamu Garba is my guest today. Of course, you know him as a frontline youth activist in the country that has spoken so much about how the youth needs to get involved in politics in this country. And of course, he joins me right here in the studio to look at the preparations for 2023, what the youth needs to do, and what he is bringing to the table. All right, it's good to have you join me today.
Thank you very much, Olubenga.
Yes, let's get the conversation going straight away, especially because there's quite a lot to talk about, and I'm sure you know that. And we'll also be taking calls from our viewers who will be willing to ask you a question or two. Let me begin, especially knowing that you are a youth crusader, and I use that word because for a while now, you have been consistent about talking about why youth need to get involved in politics and the need, for youth to take over. And I'm wondering, you joined in 2019, and of course, the race didn't go that far as President Muhammadu Buhari had to come back again. And then you are here again in 2023, in the race in 2022, in the race for 2023. A lot of people have said, well, everybody's jumping into 2023 race. People who have never showed up on the political scene before. What are your thoughts? Are you just trying to say, okay, I'm not going to just sit back. I was there in 2023. Let me show up like normal. Or there is a particular reason where you are seeking to be president in 2023?
There is a particular reason why I am seeking for presidency, and one of the major reasons is that I want to win. And I really want to win for Nigerians. We have a program, a plan, that details everything that is needed to transform Nigeria and make it to be one of the greatest nations of the world. And we think that program is supposed to be implemented in Nigeria for the benefit of Nigerians. So that is the principal driver behind me trying to aspire for the presidency, even in 2019. When I moved back I was still in APC in 2019, up to the moment I declared, I was a member of APC. But eventually when I noticed that APC is drifting from the path of true democracy, true participation, true nation building, and the recorded series of failures over time, monetization of the political scene, I decided to say, in this case, I think I have to find another path. And that is why I joined the Young Progressives Party, the YPP, to continue my aspiration. Simply because we have a program, as I mentioned earlier, a plan, a very robust plan that has never, ever presented in this country. How we will intend to build this country, to make it greater, to reorganize and re-engineer the foundational architecture of the making of a Nigerian state that will position it in tune with the 21st century model. A very robust statecraft model. That's actually what we brought on board. So I don't think the APC should shut down the ambition. I think Nigerians should be able to do that if they don't want to. If they do want, I'm giving them opportunity to be on the ballot in 2023 so that they can search for YPP and vote for Adamu Garba and take charge of their country the way they should do it.
It's interesting. Well, my next question, I hope it won't shock you. That is, why did it take you so long, to discover all that you talk, all that you say about the APC right now? You were there in 2019. Yes. You were in the race all through. From 2019 till 2022, you were very active. Against public opinion last year, when a lot of people had opinions about the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, you stood firm and tall, with the party. Why did you suddenly decide to decamp at this very august moment, at this very interesting moment within the party? Did you just discover some of these anomalies, the money politics and all of that you're talking about in 2022, or it has always been there?
When I believe in something, I go all the way. and I do everything possible to maintain my stand on something. In APC in 2019, I joined the party in 2015. We passed through, you knew the processes that brought about the emergence of President Muhammadu Buhari. I noticed so many anomalies along the path.
Already we have a caller.
So with that anomalies, I chose to say, let me aspire to be the president right now to fix these problems. And eventually I was called back in the room, look, this is not the way it is. Let's allow President Muhammadu Buhari. The reason why we had this problem was just because it's just first time and there are so many saboteurs and a lot of things. Let's just calm down and let him continue. We promise that between 2019 to 2023, he will transform this country beyond our imagination. All those promises were made to Nigerians, and that's why we all voted for him, similar to all Nigerians. On voting for him, I was there with such a high hope based on the promises made in 2019 that Nigeria is going to be far better because the foundation has been laid. What we only need is to consolidate from 2019-2023. I was there in 2019, campaigned, supported the president. 2020, I was there, fighting anybody that said something bad against this government simply because I do not want us to miss the target. I do not want the government to say that Nigerians rejected them and that's why they are unable to deliver. So I stay on their side. 2021, I was there and I noticed at the time we get into 2022, everything is a lie. In fact, we are going more deeper, more into quagmire than we have ever witnessed in this country. Everything is just disconnected. The corruption was rampant. The economy for which we campaign for is getting so much, into a downward slope beyond recoverability. If you look at the international financial organizations comment about Nigeria, it's so discouraging. Again, when you come back to the issue of security, it's the worst. It's not about the northeast, it's about the northwest and even the north central and even the southeast and some part of south and southwest too. So it's that the whole of country is on fire. Is that how we intend to change the status quo? I decided to stay a little bit and wait for election period since we are getting into electioneering. We went into primary convention ground. We saw how it happened. When we are coming to the primary election, the process was financialized. So the office that you are supposed to take over to recover the country that is supposed to deliver the public good is also having a price tag with a leaf on its own head and it's for sale. I said, this is a problem. If you have financialized, you make the country everything about money. To go to school is financialized. To go to hospital is financialized. To travel is financialized. To do everything that basically is supposed to be provided by the state is financialized. The office that is supposed to fix it is also financialized. What is APC trying to do for us? And that's why I decamped.
All right, interesting reason for wanting to decamp. But a lot of people would want to ask you, and I'm sure I'm hearing their voice right now, taking too long in the APC, assuming that, because one of your comments, by the way, has been that the form, the presidential nomination form of 100 million naira was way too outrageous and unaffordable to the average Nigerian youth. Of course, I am aware that you have raised some money through your friends and donations from the internet to the tune that almost completes, the price of the nomination form. So your ability to obtain that form is in no doubt. But assuming that the APC did not peg its presidential form at 100 million naira, maybe something you consider reasonable enough, would you not still have contested or joined the myriad of contestants in the APC? Before you answer that question, let me quickly take this call.
Okay.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Okay, we lost the call. All right, please go ahead.
You see, in democracy, you have right. Every citizen, on the average, especially at the minimum wage level, have right to vote and be voted for in office.
Absolutely.
A situation whereby you put a price tag that excludes 99.99% of your population from participating is no longer a democracy. It's an autocracy. In fact, not just autocracy, it's moving towards dictatorship, whereby some exclusive few group of people decides on who should be part in being voted for. That is a very serious problem. That is a crime against the state. A situation whereby you excluded almost the entire population that are supposed to be part and parcel of making their government. They were now asked, until you have this money, you cannot come. Then it's a problem. And that is why when I was complaining alone saying that this money is too expensive, I cannot afford it, and I don't believe we should financialize public offices. The party responded by saying that no, they disagreed, that it is a process to separate serious contenders from unserious contenders. I said, let me give them a benefit of that. I'm naturally a very patient person. No matter how painful it is, sometimes I take my time to give all kind of benefits of doubt on something. That's even why I stayed in APC for so long. I now say, so in this case, maybe perhaps I was wrong. Why can't I ask for donation? I now throw in an account number, our campaign account number on the internet, and also talk to my friends and family members. Come together, let's see what we can do. If you agree that it's good to separate men from the boys, you know. So eventually from the internet, I got 1.4 million naira donation. And from my friends and family members and associates, I was able to raise about 82 million. So, and again, my price to get the form was supposed to be 65 million because I'm under 40 years of age. And again, there is a particular form within, when you buy APC nomination form, there's a page 18. That indicated that you have to write and postdate your withdrawal before you submit back the form. And that's very questionable. I now call in this, my friends and family and associates. We have a meeting. What should we do? Should we write the postdated letter of withdrawal and then submit simply because to the best of my knowledge we want to belong? Or we should take the necessary steps that is better for the interest of the future and Nigerian youth? What should we do? And the decision was come about. Some of them say we should buy. Some of them say no, we should return the monies. Some of them say we should look for another party. We voted, and it was overwhelming for going into another party. There are 19 with me, 20. So we voted, and we got about 17 that are saying that we should move to another party.
Awesome.
Those that said no, that we should go to contest still under APC, we return back their monies. Those that are online, since they are not part of the conversation, we publish all the record of the transactions and ask them if you still need your refund. Please let us know who will refund back your money. But for this issue, and based on the overwhelming majority of the people that are interested in this movement, we are moving to another party. And that is why we move into YPP.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting one. All right, you are a youth leader, no doubt. You have been at the vanguard of campaigning that youth take the challenge of ruling the country. Now, why do you think this is important in a country like Nigeria that have had professional politicians rule the country for this length of time, especially in the Fourth Republic? We've seen a lot of politicians emerge who are necessarily not youth and have provided some kind of governance to the people. Some call it admirable, some call it a woe. I mean, there are all kinds of names. I'm sure you, in this answer, you will give us your view of, what the government is like right now to you. But why are you vanguarding? Why are you championing the cause for youth inclusion, and especially as the president of this country?
Nigeria has historically been the making of young people. If you go back to 1901, during Herbert Macaulay's rise, he was a young man that was able to create an assembly in Lagos to agitate for independence and freedom. And when you run down to that history, towards 1929, 1930, he began to become an old man, and his ideas became obsolete. And the group of young people, Abraham Adesanya, people like Nnamdi Azikiwe, decided to rise up and say, no, we disagree with you. They created something called Nigerian Youth Movement. It was this Nigerian Youth Movement, in collaboration with some political actors in the north, Aminu Kano and Tafawa Balewa and Sardauna of Sokoto, Ahmadu Bello, that came together and secured Nigeria's independence. In addition to Aba young women that did this Aba Women Riot. So when you look at all those things, you will see that this was the making of the young people. These people that became the presidents as adults women were young. And these same people handed over to a military after the coup and the war. They were young people. General Gowon and General Ojukwu that fought the Biafra were all young people. The people that took over from them, General Gowon, General Murtala, General Obasanjo, were all young people. And if you come down up to IBB and Buhari to IBB, they were all young people. So, and most of the giant development that we recovered in this country, despite the fact that it was a military era, it was recorded at that period when they were young people. It was because of that admiration of their past that makes us to repeated them. We repeated Olusegun Obasanjo in 1999-2007. Now we repeated General Muhammadu Buhari from 2015 up to now 2022. probably by the grace of God, he will reach 2023. So it was because of their young age, their vibrance, and the relevance of their program to the 20th century that makes us to support them. Here we are in the 21st century, whereby people are no longer using the book to do things, they are using the screens. So we are now people of the screen. We have about 70% of our population that depend on the screen to act. Meanwhile, even our civil service, our student management, our healthcare management, everything is still in the book. That's why they don't like what is happening. Again, we have an age whereby people are living for the presence. We are all very ubiquitous and we live for the presence. So what we need is the future, a leader that can be able to come with a vision that will define the future, not a leader that will come with experiences that is in the past. Most of these guys have experiences from the past. If you look at all the declarants, they declared having experience in X and Y and Z. That's what it is. We don't need the past. We need the future because all of us are living on the present. If you release a news right now that is 2 hours old, it's obsolete. So why do I need to pick someone that has had experience of 50 years to come and lead me where I need the future? He's going to drag me back. And that is why we have the failure of this government too. Because they are thinking of economic policies, security approach, and also the fight for corruption that is in the past. And that's why they will lost woefully. Look at what happened currently in the system. An Accountant General of the Federation, the office that manages the public account of Nigeria, was able to, of course, use fraudulent means to divert 80 billion naira of Nigerian money. In this age where even 5 companies have an accounting software that track, log, measure, monitor, and protect, and even prevent fraud. And then we are talking about, we are having a country where we use only hard power to solve security problem. In the age, the century that requires soft power, that require consultation, negotiation, integration, creating bridges as opposed to walls. This is a very serious issue. That's why we're failing on the front of fighting the insecurity in Nigeria. When you are talking about economy, where you need to measure, you redirect your foreign policy to integrate with your macroeconomics so that you can have a collective defined program that will fill into addressing your inflation, addressing your joblessness, addressing your interest rate, addressing your GDP growth, properly tying it with all the organs of your economic integration in the country by building infrastructure to build the supply line between buyers and sellers so that you can be able to bring about better livelihood and better income to ordinary citizens. You are waiting for oil extraction to be able to make money. A country that is running, a continent that is running away from oil, we're moving into green energy. You can see green revolution everywhere. Germany today, about 35% of their energy is supplied by green energy. United States is moving in that direction. China is moving in that direction. The whole world is fighting about cobalt, that 90% of which is supplied from Africa, that is used to power the renewable energy infrastructure. We are still waiting for oil. How can't we fail? And that is why we fail. So we need leaders that are supposed to replace experiences with a vision. Leaders like the young people that can sit down, that can imagine, that can create something phenomenal that the whole world is going to benefit from. We have demonstrated this in the field of music. We have demonstrated this in the field of arts. We have demonstrated this in the fields of technology and innovation. It means we have the drive to do that. Why are we going back to the past? And that is why I am saying that either young people take responsibility of shaping this future to work it for them by putting them first and empowering them with the right tools to be able to do more and achieve more. Young people will always be at the mercy and the service or slavery of this older generation that only believe in taking resources from the ground and putting in their pockets, some of which are transferred outside the country, you know, where they don't even have access to it after they lost power. So that's the situation.
Interesting. I mean, you have opened up a whole lot of lines of conversation and answered some questions on mine. But let's look at it. The Nigerian political space, we all do know that it is very expensive. I mean, money politics is no doubt the order of the day in our politics today. And of course, that explains, according to you, why you left the APC. But realistically speaking, Nigeria is, divided along several ethnic groups, several geopolitical zones, several wards, polling units across the country, thousands and hundreds of thousands of them. And hence, it requires a lot of money to prosecute a presidential ambition these days? Of course, like I said earlier, like you explained, it's easy maybe to raise 100 million or maybe to raise 1 billion, maybe depending on how connected you are. Maybe I should ask you, by the way, though, what are you worth? I mean, contesting for Nigeria's president. Everybody knows it's expensive, and it's been the #1 deterrent for youth in this generation. I mean, they want to go, but the money is not there. What are you worth, and how are you depending on also crowdfunding and getting from family and friends, to push this ambition forward?
You see, financialization of a political space in a third world economy is very dangerous, especially in a country like Nigeria where we are commodity driven. We are still dependent on primary commodity, and primary commodities are not coming from our brains, they are coming from the ground. If the source of wealth of a nation is coming from the ground, it means there will be no incentive for people to keep living. The more they die, the better for the people in control of power. The more there is crisis in Zamfara State or Birnin Gwari in Kaduna, where we have massive deposit of gold in that area, the better for the people in charge, simply because there is no tax, there is no monitoring, there is no accountability, nothing. So they make more money. So that means there will be no incentive at all for making life better. The more there is problem in the Niger Delta crisis or Niger Delta issues or the black waters, because we call the Gulf of Guinea now, the entire Gulf is called black water, because that's the place where you have the massive oil theft that has ever happened in the history of the world. So that place now is a black water. It is better for some people in charge, because once the money comes through the formal window, it's going to be monitored, it's going to be shared across the state. The 13% derivative and other FAC regime will now take place, so they would rather go and do it black market. There will be no incentive for human life. It means that life is cheap and very useless, and that is why taking it is becoming even much more cheaper. Why? Because we financialize everything in Nigeria, including the political office. You saw what happened in Lagos, 100 naira. They burned somebody alive. You saw the crisis in Sokoto. There is current crisis now in Dede. When you look at these kind of challenges, you see that life is becoming cheaper, and the people responsible for the protection of life and property don't care. Why? Because the more you escape the country, the more you suffer, the more you are in IDP camp, the more they make money. There was a time that 14 local government in Borno State is under the control of Boko Haram. But has the allocation going to these local governments ceased? It did not. It means that the government of Borno State is still sitting on those monies comfortably. So where is the incentive for them to drive Boko Haram away from the 14 local governments if they make more by the crisis? So you need to look at this. This is what is happening across the country. In Zamfara, you have so many local government under bandits. In Sokoto, you have so many local government under bandits. In all those areas, they are order. That means the money is better. There should be crisis so that more money can come to the politicians. And when the politicians decided to financialize these offices, they are telling you that your life is worth nothing. In fact, they would rather allow you to run away from the country or suffer or remain in IDP camp so that they can make more. That's what is happening. So we have to fight this. We have to revise this. And that is why people like us are in the contest. We don't agree that there should be financialization in the political process. That is the office that is supposed to be delivering public good and is supposed to be available for all public persons that have the competency, the capacity, the zeal, the drive, the programs to deliver the needed result. And that is why we are in the contest. So when you look at this, you look at our Electoral Act, the new amendment bill, which is grossly favorable to some extent because of the electronic transmission of result. You look at the average voter demography in Nigeria, we have new 6 million voters that have come into the scene now with this current new registration and the new people that become 18 and above. Again, when you look at the distribution of the voting pattern in Nigeria over time, urban centers don't vote. They always stay in the room. When you ask them why, because most of the candidates that are presented to them have nothing to convince them to go out and stay on the sun and burn. And these urban voters are about 55 million. And that is why out of the about 89 to 90 million registered voters that we have, but we only have 29 million or 30 million people voting. So we are targeting these urban voters, people that have the thinking, that are investing in the future of this country. by bringing back children that are Nigerians and the families that are Nigerians to join us. We are going to the ballot. We cannot have this big money that these big people have, but we can sponsor ourselves with logistics, with other things to ensure that we take Nigeria, we give them opportunity to have the best option, to elect a candidate that came with a plan, a program that suit into every other interest of Nigerian state, that will see to end of poverty by making sure that each Nigerian is living minimum above $10 a day, by making sure that we have standard education system, standard healthcare facilities, standard economy, a better infrastructure, and better life, so that we can live, at least we have 52 years of average life expectancy. We have a program that will ensure that everybody becomes 65 years average life expectancy using our health program. So these are the things that we are looking at to be able to fix this country. So no, I've never held any public office, so you don't expect me to steal money, because those official bandits have a lot of money in their pocket. I am not those kind of persons, but I will do everything possible by the grace of God to ensure that we are at the ballot to give Nigerians options to choose the best for their future.
All right, thank you very much for that. All right, viewers, I'm sure you are enjoying my guest. Please call in and ask your questions as the phone line is open for you out there. All right, I'd like to know, especially because when we talk about how much the youth are being excluded from governance, a lot of other people do say that the youth are also the problem. How do youth contribute, to the perpetuation or the perpetuity of the other generation in office in Nigeria?
The problem with the young people is lack of self-confidence. You look at an office, you look at a office holder, you've seen that he has no quality, no competency, no capacity, no program. He doesn't even care. I decided to follow him simply because he give you money for a recharge card, or he buy data for you to be posting on the internet. And those are the simple things. You refuse to go. And they use this kind of tools to just subjugate us. They show us that that environment is a very corny, mafiaistic environment, that once you come in, they will just crush you, so you can't do anything.
Okay, let's take this call quickly. Hello, thank you for joining us. This is The Polity, reaching you live from Kaftan Television. Where are we on to, please? Hello? We lost the call again. Please do call us again, as we'd like to hear from you. Please go ahead.
So you see, so when you look at these things, there is this draconian creation that is done to frighten the youth that this is not the case. Meanwhile, these principal actors that we are talking about were young people over time that were able to perpetuate themselves in the system. If you go back to just 1999, how old was Senator Kwankwaso before he became the governor? What about Donald Duke? What about Chimaroke Nnamani? What about Ojuzo Kalu? They were all in their 30s when they became governors. But how is it that they are able to perpetuate themselves and frighten the young man at the age of 40, 50? You are still feeling like you are a youth. It's not possible. Even me at the age of 39, sometimes when they ask me, are you a youth? I used to ask this question because I'm a very responsible man. 2 wives, 8 children, and I'm still a youth. You understand? So when you look at these things, there are a lot of questions that we are supposed to shape the future ourselves. They cannot help us. In fact, PDP we already know that it's anti-youth. Zero. APC wrote on the back of young people. On getting to power in 2015 to 2019, they promised a whole lot of world to the youth, including signing not to one bill. Telling us that by 2023 they are going to give us. By that time, they have succeeded in marshalling the youths. What can I say? I think those beating them, they are about to light fire onto them and just kill them and eliminate them completely, because we are completely excluded from every organ of the system. And even our national chairman, the national chairman of the party, APC, then when I was there, you can see it. So we now came to discover that APC is not even a political party. It's a congress. It's an all progressive congress. So when you have a congregation of few that decides on what they wish in their own interest, then why are we wasting our time? Then we now discover that in this case, we have to define a new path for ourselves. So the only way is the same vehicle they leverage to get to power, political party, we build our own political platform also to get to power. We can be able to do whatever we can, vie for different offices from state assembly to reps, to senators, to governors, to presidents. Let us also converge ourselves, unite our forces as young people with the minimum amount of resources we have to get to that political power. We have the mass numbers, we have friends. If each one of us can tell only 5 persons within his network, and then we can now come together, I'm telling you, we're going to pull them out. And they are waiting for us to pull them out. They are leveraging on our weakness, our laxity, and our lack of determination to remain in power. Not that they don't know that we can be able to do it. So the best way we can do is to unite our forces. We can ask them to go arrest. They are our parents. We respect them. We value them. We are not going to injure them, but we are going to use ballot paper to do revolution against them in 2023.
All right, revolution, youth revolution it is.
Using ballot.
Using the ballot,
Yes.
of course. That's very important.
Yes.
All right, I'm sure you're enjoying the conversation. We'll go on a quick break now. Now, when we return, our conversation will continue. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I believe that if you're going to run a country or prefer to rule a country such as Nigeria, you need to have an understanding of quite a few things. If you don't know what you want, you're not going to be able to put the right people to get to those results. And they must be achievable. And so I believe that whether it's understanding what the youth of Nigeria wants in sports, in music, in entertainment, I have done that. I have done it from understanding how to set up a company, how to run a company, and how to be successful in that. If it's in, again, what I'm preferring with Reset, if it's with power, I've done that. I've built it, and I'm currently one of 4 companies around the world that has solar storage systems. That is in the whole world. I have a good understanding of what it takes to build the kind of military and the kind of security systems we need. Right now, all we're doing is putting a band-aid on an issue. Nigeria's security profile should be that of a developed country by now. We have liberated so many countries on the African continent. We're having peacekeepers around the world. Our men are brave, our women are brave, they show courage everywhere. But since our democracy has a fear for the military, I believe that the civilian leadership has tried to sort of curtail the power of our military, to declaw our military so it doesn't have power. And in the day of asymmetric warfare, where you're not fighting another country, where you're fighting elements within that country that are disgruntled elements, you need to retool your military. You need to be doing things that are a little bit more, less about the gun and more about the technology, less about brute force and more about brain. And I think that that is one of the things that I'm looking forward to be able to lay out on this journey to the presidency. I know I'm going to be different from everybody else that's talking out there. When you want to build a railway track, and you know you need to build this railway track in an area that is a bit difficult, and you know they're going to be bandits, and you know we have insecurity, but you go ahead and lay that track, because all you want to do is show that you have done your job as a minister. But did you consult with the NSA's office? Have you been abroad and seen what they did? Did you look at the tracks only, or did you look at the environment? In most countries, when you go and you visit, or you take a train from, like I was doing, from Victoria Station to Sussex to school, or from Liverpool Street Station to my military academy, as you go down the track, you will see catch fencing. There was an offset so that people or things did not cross the track. It was electrified. Those things were put in place. We built a track without security in mind. That is bad management. That is unexciting and unexciting leadership. If you go to vote for a party that has failed you in the next election, a party that has failed you, you are dumb. If you go and vote for the other party that failed you, you are dumber. If you do not understand that going down the same road, getting hit by things, getting blasted, getting insecure, fear, no school, no healthcare, no security, no light, and you still go back to the same source, then we don't deserve to be calling ourselves Nigerians. What we need now is somebody, not a party. We need a visionary, not a symbol. I don't come here carrying an umbrella or a broomstick. I come here with a cerebral mind. I have things I can do in my life. I have a fantastic company. I have a loving family. I don't want to be dissected because I feel that I want to raise myself. I'm raised. I'm a proud Nigerian. I'm an educated man that understands that failure to educate your people makes you, as well as your whole country, a poorer nation.
Welcome back, everyone. We're still reaching you live from Kaftan Television. This is The Polity. I'm in the studios with Adam Garba, a presidential aspirant under the Young Progressive Party, right here discussing 2023 money politics and other critical issues leading to youth participation in the 2023 general elections. All right, let's come back to you now. Quite a lot of interesting things to still talk about, but let's begin with your choice of the YPP. I know some people have certain terminologies, you know, for parties like that. Some people call them the unknown galvanized party, and that's talking about the third force. You left the APC, and you were, of course, in the majority party in 2019, and we had the results that we had. 2023, of course, a lot of these parties are coming together, 16 of them. Some are thinking of mergers and all of that. But as far as we know, YPP stands alone yet. Do you consider the YPP the best alternative? Why did you choose the YPP amongst the several other parties that are not PDP and APC? Or why not even move to the PDP, by the way?
Why I chose YPP is because by my natural political ideological inclination, I am more of a center-right kind of guy, a progressive conservative. That is even one of the reasons why I went into APC, because of the spirit of progressivism. So on leaving APC, the only choice that is left for me that seems to have progressivism is YPP, the Young Progressives Party. Now the difference is here, which is also more appealing, which I consider YPP as my traditional home, was the fact that there is a prefix of young and there is also suffix of party. So that means in addition to the progressivism, it is young political party that is supporting the idea and the young generation of Nigerians building the future where I'm supposed to be. And it's also a party, it's not a congress. So when I look at these things, I have a complete home. And I love their symbol because it's an open door. Door opens to, it's open door for everyone. And once you have an open door, it means that you have a successful opportunity to go and explore whatever you want to do. And as soon as you enter into the door, you have a green leaf. That means everything is just fresh. Fresh beginning, fresh ideas, this. And it conforms to our program that we call New Deal. Because the entire vision that we package for Nigeria, there are about 40 policy points or policy objectives that we intend to deliver to Nigeria, an outcome of our 17 years of research. Personally, I studied about 146 different countries' policy choices to look at those countries that have failed and what have they done wrong, and those that have succeeded and what have they done right, and how can we align it and recalibrate it to suit Nigeria, and then build this program that we are presenting as a New Deal. Now, with this open door and a green leaf, it has given us opportunity to go there and deliver our New Deal without any hindrances. So therefore, and it's also an opportunity to galvanize young Nigerians because it's a young party. We've been having old progressive Congress. I used to call it old progressive Congress. And if you go back to PDP, it's a making of the military. It's a party for the military men. And APC is a party of the military politicians. Because there are some people that are politicians that are supported by the military. Most of the major actors in the APC were the NADECO guys and the Nigerian Labour Congress people that have been fighting the military then, the military junta, by supporting the other side of the military that is in support of democracy. So these are the people that are formed to APC. But this is a fresh start. And the party have a very beautiful manifesto. It's have a very good program. It is democratic. It's realistic. It's not a party that is a vehicle that you can just come and use money to buy everyone. Everybody accepts his level. There is contentment, there is this acceptability, there is this zeal for better Nigeria, especially what I saw in the national chairman, Comrade Bishop Amakre. You know, I share a lot of ideological things with him. And even on the screen, I saw you are playing my fellow aspirant, Malik Ibrahim. He's talking about visionary leadership. You see, I just finished talking about the need for a vision for Nigeria, not experience of the past. So there's this ideological convergence that seems to be driving the future of young people in that YPP, and that is why I'm there.
All right, interesting. But he's speaking about vision, which is very important. I'm wondering though, who stands the biggest threat to you in this your adventure into presidency in 2023 now? Is it your running mate? Is it your fellow aspirants in the party, in the YPP, or some of the big names that we have in the APC and the PDP and all of that? Who exactly stands your biggest threat?
Yeah, the person, like inside the party, YPP is a very democratic in nature. Anybody that picked the presidential form will go to primary election. We are hoping to have a primary election. If by God's grace I become the winner after the primary election and pick the party's ticket, my biggest threat is one man, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because that man has invested so much in Nigerian democracy to the point whereby you don't underestimate him in party politics. So the best solution is for us to confront his programs and drives head on for us to win. That person is actually a very huge Democrat, and he participated so much in this kind of thing. So since when I was in APC, when they asked me these kind of questions in different fora, different programs, I said Bola Tinubu. So, but we have opportunity. Bola Tinubu, he's a party leader for APC. He has invested in democracy, but he is not a young man anymore. He cannot be able to do it. We have seen the consequences of voting older people. They spend massive amount of our monies, outside the country to cater for their health and that of their families, neglecting the healthcare system of Nigeria completely. We don't want to repeat that. So that person might be the threat, and hopefully APC might not give him the ticket. So if they don't give him the ticket, every other person, all we need is just a small push, unity, strength, little resources. We're going to send them all back to their retirement houses.
Interesting perspective. I love your confidence, by the way. All right, but let's talk about youth development now. I want to believe that in your New Deal plan, that you have a lot of plans and policies, like you mentioned, 40, within that umbrella, within that basket that wants to deal with Nigerians. But there's something that's controversial about you, starting from last year, when the Twitter ban, by the administration of President Buhari, took effect. Twitter was banned for a long time, and it was clear that you supported a Twitter ban. You categorically said Twitter was not a government and had no right to ban Mr. President. And of course, that generated a lot of reactions from the Nigerian youth. Now, have you been able to specifically clarify why you gave that assertion at the time, and then going forward, in this journey to become Nigeria's president, have you been able to get the attention of the Nigerian youth back to yourself, for them to understand what you meant by Twitter ought to be banned, especially knowing that Twitter is the community where you yourself are very active, where you pass your message across to the people and all of that? Have you been able to do that within this time?
I have been working on it extensively. I know that it's not something that can be fixed in a day, and I know that what I did was to the best of my intentions. There is no way I will never allow any other person, either human being or system or platform, to orchestrate the instability and cause insecurity in Nigeria. I will never allow that, wherever you are. Even if you are my parent, I'll fight you. So that is why when you look at Twitter's antics in Nigeria, over time, especially during the NSAS program, I am a pioneer member of NSAS. In Lagos in 2017, with Sega Link, Sewona Wasanya, with Unifash, we were all strongly supporting NSAS. I supported NSAS up to that 2020. Until, of course, I'm a tech person, and I studied platform technology. I had a master's in digital innovation, which is grossly most of the courses in this master's program. There are about 7 courses. 4 of them are all on digital platforms, and that's why I also built a platform technology called Crowweed. So I understood these things, and I also a very serious digital junkie. So I was on the internet, in the darknet, studying the traffic that is coming over on these NSAS protests. And when I correlated with the traffic we receive in Egypt during the downfall of Mubarak, I saw clearly that there's a relations. So these guys are after destruction of our government. So they are using innocent people on the internet to use them to orchestrate their agenda against my state. I say I will not agree. And that's why when I went to court, I was specifically charging against Jack Dorsey, who is the leader of Twitter, the CEO, and the Twitter International, and all organs of Nigerian government, the AGF, the DSS, presidency, all of them. I said they should come and be a party to answer why will they allow such things to happen. And of course, over time, Nigerians began to understand that what I did was the most bravest, most heroic action that has taken place in this country.
Are you certain of that? Because a lot of people, let me give you this before you respond to that. A lot of people say, just as you mentioned, that you actually supported Twitter ban because of your app, the Crowey app. That was a social media app like Twitter, because you wanted the Crowey app to actually take effect and replace the place of Twitter in Nigeria.
Never. In fact, Crowey has been in development since 2017. It's a platform technology. It takes time. How could I from 2017 predicted that I want to block Twitter, that NSAS will come and I will block Twitter? Crowey has been produced. We put it online in 2018. We brought it down because of some issues. We put it back in 2019. We brought it down. We put it back in 2020. In fact, as at the time that this crisis is happening, the NSAS issue is happening, Crowey had been online for 4 months. How will I have predicted that? It's not possible. So what I did was purely patriotic. I'm a radical patriotic citizen of Nigeria, very radical. So anything that touches the country, I go against it immediately. So that is why I went against Jack Dorsey. But over time, people have begun to see it. They have seen what happened in the United States during the election of Donald Trump. They saw what happened in India. They saw what happened in Kazakhstan when Twitter was. That's why they called in the board and asked Jack Dorsey to step down, and eventually even sold out the entire platform, simply because they have lost it under Jack Dorsey's leadership. In fact, our case was one of the cases that was presented in that decision to send him out of the board, and eventually before they completely even sold Twitter to Elon Musk. So this was a very heroic action. And again, subsequently, they began to, anything that you publish against Nigeria, you see you see them using bots to propagate it so much to the point whereby they are determined to do something to bring down Nigeria. And they have a mission. What is this mission? We have to not trust our government. We have to not trust our systems. When we do that, let me land there. When we do that, right, you can see the way they are attacking central bank. When we do that, we have no option than to shift to their cryptocurrency plan, where Jack Dorsey have interest. Where Jack Dorsey have interest. And now, during that period, Nigeria became the top crypto user than every other country in the world. I think we are only the only country that's above us is the United States of America. We traded about $526 million within that period. That is the money that is taken out of Nigerian system to Jack Dorsey's system. That is the mission.
Interesting. I mean, I love your patriotism, but I'm sure you do realize that also at the period, during that period you're talking about, a lot of Nigerians also moved, from poverty, from striking poverty, to some level of financial stability. And it is the responsibility of government, like a lot of people have said, to actually liberate the people and give them opportunities to financial liberation. And I'm sure you do support that. The cryptocurrency in its place, Twitter also does all of these things. I'm not trying to look at the balance behind your patriotism. The people, you represent the youth population, you talk about youth empowerment, you talk about youth in government, and now what would have empowered those youth seem to be taken away from them by the government. By the government. Then now I'm wondering, where does your patriotism between the youth and the older generation, which you believe should be out of power, where does it really lie? You see, there can only be state before you can even be able to do economic activity. When the state is completely down, there will be no economic activity. We saw what happened in Libya. They went to remove Gaddafi because he's trying to use gold to back his currency, and they took him out. Same kind of currency game. And where is Libya? Who is the president of Libya today? Nobody can say that. So how are they going to transact? None. The entire state is gone. So you must sometimes sacrifice the interest of the few for the benefit of many. It is very important for state stability. And I mentioned to you earlier that I'm a conservative progressivism, center-right. It means that I always will favor order and stability.
I always will favor order and stability. So I want to favor that order. I want the country to be stable. And I do not want, because few are benefiting, out of majority of the citizens, allow these few that are benefiting to destroy majority of the citizens. As at the time of NSAS, Twitter had 9 million users. As at that time, it was during the NSAS that they were able to garner so much following that they have hitting about 20 to 25 million users. So you can imagine this. Now, how many citizens we have in Nigeria? 260 million people. Should we allow the entire country to go down simply because some very few people are benefiting? We should not allow that. And even crypto, as a tech guy, the value of crypto is in its quantum. It's the quantum computing that it generates. And where is the quantum resident? The quantum is in the location of the servers that runs the crypto technology, which is sitting on blockchain. And what is the quantum measured against? The quantum is measured against the consumption of energy. When the servers are not located in your domain, you don't control the database like the blockchain system that regulates the crypto. You don't supply the energy that the consumption is happening. It's simply like you shipping your entire productivity to another man's country for just few money that you make. You saw the crisis in Kazakhstan. It's all crypto crisis that nearly broke down Kazakhstan. Why? Because the massive crypto servers that we have in Asia Minor is in Kazakhstan. So there is a lot of issues simply because they have the servers, there is energy crisis, the entire crypto servers are consuming the energies that ordinary people are supposed to use to power their houses. And that's why the crisis came about. And it was from that Kazakhstan crisis that we now saw what is happening in the Russia-Ukrainian issue. Because Russia was able to see clearly this is the game. And therefore they have to step in. And the US or the West also decided to come. We don't agree. This is the game. Ukraine is the guinea pig. Let's play. Let's do them as the playground. So that's the game that is happening. So we have to protect ourselves too. What is wrong in Nigeria having its own crypto servers? We can have our crypto servers. We can build our blockchain. We can have the energy system that will power the crypto servers so that we can generate this quantum since we have the data. I think the whole of, if we go back to third world, apart from China, because China, I don't want to even call them third world, they are just hanging behind that. If you go back to countries that look like us, like Brazil and Philippines and Nigeria, we generate almost better data than them, much more high amount of data than them. But all these data are sitting in global data centers. They don't benefit anything from Nigeria. So that is why we also have to have a legislation that will ensure that Nigerians' data production and consumption sits here for the benefit of Nigerian tech entrepreneurs so that they can leverage on it to export technology to global community. And that's what we are looking at. In fact, part of our this blueprint, the new deal that we have, one of the program is completely on cryptoization of the entire financial system. We can bring in blockchain, we can build our server farms, we can be able to provide the energy, in fact, renewable energy infrastructure to power the crypto server so that we can also have Naira as a globally traded currency. Thank God we already have gold all over the country, so we can back it up with gold. And that is why sometimes I believe if Putin is able to succeed, it might even be better for us because he's backing ruble with gold. What is wrong with backing Naira with gold? Since we have it.
All right. I want to believe that will be some part of your own economic diversification plan if you're elected into power. Okay, let's quickly talk about other cogent areas because I'm imagining that you are the president of Nigeria and then we have a lot of issues on our hands. We have the security issues, which is taking different dimensions. We cannot even unravel all if we decide to hit on them. But let me quickly highlight some of the areas. You talk about the military and their control, internal security control within the country. A lot of people say the military, soldiers basically, are supposed to protect the external territory of the country and not respond to the internal threats. But the police that is supposed to take up that responsibility and others are not empowered as supposed to do so. What will you do? How will you create this balance so that the soldiers can return to the barracks and then return to protect the territory of the country, and the police can take care of that which is their responsibility, civic responsibility, taking care of internal threats, security threats at all levels. I know we'll probably, if we have time, we'll still come to talk about the South, the North divide, and how to approach the security. But generally, let me just get your thoughts. The police, the army, and other paramilitary agencies that are supposed to provide security internally, and the army, how do you balance their responsibilities so that one does not encroach into the other, and each of them is empowered, to carry out their statutory functions?
You see, our Nigerian security architecture is a hangover from the military era. We are coming from military dictatorship, so most of the security is coming with a hard approach to it as opposed to the soft approach to it. I made an early reference to that soft arrangement. What we need to do is this. How we intend to handle Nigerian security issues is we are going to create something called Council for Political and Security Affairs. Why the political and security there? Because we discovered that 90% of the security crises we have in this country have political interest. So the best solution is to bring the political actors and the security actors in one room. And then we also counted that we have 350 ethnic groups in Nigeria. Each of these ethnic groups has a traditional ruler or leader. That traditional leader is going to be also part of this council. It is at this point that we discuss how we handle our security architecture properly. You don't handle security without talking about self-assurance of the citizenry, without giving self-confidence for the citizenry, without giving opportunity for livelihood for the citizen. These three things are very important: assurance, confidence, and livelihood. They must be assured that they are living. They must have confidence that when they live here there is future, and they must also be able to earn their living while they live. So this is it. So that is how you handle it. So we decided to create this council. Traditional rulers are part of it, political actors are part of it, and at the same time security agencies are part of it. The security agencies, we decided to create an architecture that will be more streamlined. Currently there is this convulsion of jobs between the SSS sometimes and the police, the military and the Air Force, or the Army and the Air Force and the Navy. All those are having confusion. You have our intelligence agencies like the NIA and the DMI. These are all confusion. So we are going to upgrade the level of National Security Advisor, NSA, to National Security Agency. So it becomes a standing agency that will now coordinate completely the entire activities of the security for a streamlined reporting, so that there can be political will to tame any security issue that is happening. I can give you a reference case in Zamfara. Okay. The Turji guy, who is the acknowledged terrorist among the bandits, everyone knows that the crisis started in Zamfara in one local government called Shinkafi. And that man, whenever they interview, and even the recent interview that was done to him by Abdulaziz, he was talking about the problem in Shinkafi, that the Shinkafi traditional ruler dealt with his father, this one, that one, stole their cows, and that is why he was fighting. How, supposing you have that kind of council, you have solved that problem easily. Why? Because the traditional ruler of Shinkafi is part of the council. The DSS director in Zamfara, the police DPO and the commissioner of Zamfara State, and military barracks in Zamfara State, or the military commandant, are all part of the council. Then you now also have the reps representing that area, the senator representing that area, state assemblyman representing this area, all are members of the council. From there, you can address that issue in Shinkafi without allowing it to go to other local governments in Zamfara State to the point whereby it's burning down the entire Northwest. The only way to handle security in a very confused country like Nigeria, where you have multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multi-dimensional, multi-regional, is to create the security in a soft environment where you architect it based on agreement of every other stakeholder within the state. It happened in China. In fact, China have about 720 different tribes. But today China is one China. They created 22 regions and perfectly addressed these issues. It happens in Russia. Russia currently have 22 different countries in the Russian Federation. They have 82 regions. Out of these 82 regions, 86. Out of these 86 regions, 22 are even like countries. These kind of things can address our Biafra challenges. When you have IPOB saying they want to go, what is wrong in allowing us to have Biafra Republic inside the Federal Republic of Nigeria? We have a country where people have different political belief, different tribes, different religion, different customs, different tradition, different mores. Why don't you allow them to organize their political activities based on their own beliefs and systems?
How easy will that be to manage?
Very easy. Nigeria is a federation. It's not a republic that we say. That's why we even suggested that we need to remove the name called republic and replace it by the Nigerian Federation. There was a time I even suggested that we should change the name completely to the Nigerian Federation, the original Nigerian ancient name. So we make it a federation so that each group can now manage their political activities independent of the other groups. The only thing that we need united is the economy. We all wear the same shoe. We eat the same food. We wear the same clothes. We watch the same television. We make phone call using the same line. We share the same energy infrastructure. We share the same road infrastructure. We share the same airport. That is the area where we need to come together. But in the area of our politics, our tradition, our culture, our religion, we can allow some independent opinions for people within their locality. That is how you address it. In Russia that I'm making reference to, they even have a country there called Tatarstan, one of the 22 regions. Tatarstan has a president, a parliament, and every other thing that is making them to run their affairs based on their own sincere beliefs. The only thing that connects them together is the macroeconomics. They share the same currency because of the economy, foreign policy, and defense intelligence. These are the areas where you come together. So that is how you manage a country's security issue. And that is what we intend to do to manage our Nigeria's security issue. Soft power, then hard power. But mostly we create consultative forum, this council for political and security affairs. That will be meeting quarterly. Every quarter we have a meeting to look at Nigeria and discuss the security and politics of the country. Every quarter. That's what we intend to do.
All right, interesting one. And let me quickly get your thoughts on one of the most trending issues in Nigeria right now. Talking about Deborah Samuel, the young lady that was stoned to death in Sokoto. What are your thoughts? Religion seems to have divided this country so much more. What is the right approach to have addressed that issue? The lady being killed, she blasphemous, I mean, some person's religion. How do we separate all of this so that religions are respected, then people's rights and lives are preserved? What are your thoughts basically about Deborah Samuel?
Like in one of our programs, part of the 40 policy point, we consider these things. We call it the institutionalization of religion, separation of religion from the state. Clearly, it's very, very critical. Why? Because if you go back to history of religion from 11th century till now, there was a statistic that is done by Pew Religious Forum. 650 million people die as a result of religion. 650 million people, all on religious issues. Very toxic environment that
triggers a lot.
That triggers a lot. So it's a very serious problem, and that is what we are seeing today. I was at the center of that issue when it happened. I came out openly to condemn the action, and I received a lot of backlash from my fellow Muslims, and I'm fine with it because I said my mind. The second day, I allowed that to go for 24 hours because I had the second message coming. The second message I now published by saying that insulting the Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu, is actually a red line for every other Muslim. So the non-Muslims should avoid it. I now began to receive backlash from the Christians. Then what is a red line? So you need to understand this balance. This is a very delicate balance. That the only way to have it, to address it, is to have a leader that is neither representing any of this group, either a Muslim or Christian or pagan, or he's coming from the north, south, east or west, but he's just a Nigerian president. In our own policy program, I even say that if any journalist snap me praying because I'm a Muslim, I'm going to sue him for libel, because that's not what I'm here to do. I want to go to Aso Rock to work, not to pray. So if I'm there to work, I should work for all Nigerians. So until we're able to have this kind of leadership representation, we'll always be having problem, because most of them are having flashpoint representation by the politicians. If you notice 2019 election, politicians procure different pastors and imams to preach in their favors, and that's what happened. So when ordinary citizens depend on the pastors and imams to take their own directives, and they saw their pastors and imams are passionate about a particular candidate, they go there believing that candidate represents the interest of their religion, not the interest of their lives or their future. And sometimes when I condemn the issues, some of them came to me, some of them that are very close to me, but why did you do that? You know that even if we decided to take her to court, there will be no justice. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Like there is a complete belief that the justice system cannot serve the interests of the poor. So the poor take laws into their hands. It's a clear indication of failure of a state. When a state cannot guarantee justice to the underprivileged, to the unprotected, to the weak, that state has lost all relevance of being a state. And that is where the problem is.
All right. Thank you so much, Adamu Garba, YPP presidential aspirant, for your time and contributions on the show. I mean, this is where we have to call it a wrap. But I must say that it's been a wonderful conversation with you, and I'm sure our guests are very much impressed. And of course, we'll be looking out for you as a member of my constituency, the youth, by the way, in the 2023 general elections. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I look forward to your vote then.
All right, don't vote, by the way. I'm a journalist. All right, Nigerians, that is it for today. You've heard from my guest. It's been a wonderful time with you here. We'll keep it up here, and then we'll come your way again tomorrow to talk about other trending issues in the country. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'll get to see you again tomorrow, God willing. Keep watching Kaftan Television. I'm Olugbenga George. Have a great evening.